Stuff. All right, well, have you heard of Quality 4.0?
Yes, I
know
have.
what Quality 4.0 is.
I don't know. I've heard of it, but I don't know specifically.
Well, Quality 4.0, if you haven't heard of it, is it's closely aligning quality management with Industry 4.0 to enable enterprise efficiencies, performance innovation, and business models. So essentially what it is it's another way of thinking about the fourth industrial revolution, which is Industry 4.0. Okay. Which really follows the first three industrial revolutions that happened over the past 300 years or so. So if you're interested in that, we've got a really good interview for you right now. We had an article from our friend Dan Jacob of LNS Research. We flashed it up there a moment ago. Quality 4.0, fresh thinking for quality in the digital era, and it's a really good piece. It also ties in with the Quality 4.0 Impact and Strategy Handbook, which is an ebook that's available now from LNS Research. So we're going to bring Dan Jacob of LNS Research on our show right now, talk to him a little bit about Quality 4.0 and what that means. So Dan, thanks for joining us here today on Quality Digest Live.
Hey, thanks for having me, gents.
Of course. Really great to have you here. So let's get right into it. I mean, I quickly talked a little bit about Industry 4.0, but maybe you can help us dive in a little bit deeper about what that is and really what the changes are that affect quality professionals in Industry 4.0 versus Industry 3.0.
Great. Yeah, so one of the things that, when people think about Industry 4.0, they think about smart connected assets, right? So maybe that's something on your shop floor, maybe it's an asset out in the field, and that asset now through inexpensive sensors, you can now receive a lot of the data from that asset near real time due to connectivity. So you get the asset providing you with real-time feedback that comes in terms of a high volume of data that you then analyze with new techniques like machine learning, for instance, that can dig through that data, find patterns in that data that a human might not look for. You're taking data from maybe multiple devices and other systems like enterprise systems, understanding what those patterns are, and then determining insights from that data that drives new insights and new knowledge in the organization. And in a lot of cases, when you hear about Industry 4.0, they're really talking about the application of those technologies to machines like assets in a shop floor or again, fielded system. And that definitely applies to quality as well. There's a number of use cases out there where you can use data like that to drive 100% inspection or continuous input from other systems really to drive quality improvement. There's a lot more to it, though. When you think about Industry 4.0, that's kind of like the classic way that organizations think about that. There's also, from a quality perspective, you need to think more broadly because things like collaboration, for instance. There's new technologies in collaboration like blockchain that can track data coming through from suppliers through your supplier quality management programs. Social media, both to track customer issues that might be experienced in the field, but also internally to enable to help build culture and capabilities in-house. And also apps, so mobile apps to give you access to data. Virtual reality apps to try to provide you with that input in terms of how a system might be performing in the field. These are all things that organizations are using to help drive improvement. So those are all different types of technologies. But the real thing, the real important aspects of Quality 4.0 are the impact of that technology on processes and on humans. Because when you think about quality, there's a significant human aspect. So the cultural pieces that organizations are really working toward addressing, and so on. So there's a lot of those capabilities and process capabilities. So Quality 4.0 is really the merger of that technology as well as the people and processes to drive new insights and increased performance in industry.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So how can companies use Quality 4.0 strategically? I mean, how are they going to use it to gain a competitive advantage? I mean, what are they going to do with this?
Right. And I think one of the key things, I've had a lot of conversations with quality leaders about this over the last year or two. Even this week, lots of conversations with different quality leaders on this topic. And I think one of the first things that quality leaders need to do is to get educated. In many cases, if you look at, if you look at this technology, a lot of times there's initiatives around culture of quality, maybe risk initiatives and other initiatives there and it's keeping quality leaders busy enough that they're really not focusing on this really important technology set. So the first thing is to get educated. The second piece is to really get involved. You might be surprised that your CEO is likely interested in things like increasing predictability, or there might be a big data initiative. Let's find out what we can do more with data, or a digitalization initiative. Quality is actually one of the top quality improvement is one of the top use cases for initiatives like that. According to our statistics, 23% of initiatives that are digitalization initiatives are actually focused on quality improvement. So make sure you're involved in that process. And then finally, update your strategy. And I'm not saying to build a strategy around Quality 4.0 necessarily. What you should do is update the existing strategy you have in traditional quality to include Quality 4.0, because those initiatives you have already around, again, culture or risk or enterprise visibility to quality or metrics, those initiatives are actually improved substantially through Quality 4.0, and an organization can tie those to the strategic objectives of the company very effectively through a Quality 4.0 initiative.
Well, Dan, you wrote an article, I mentioned it in my lead-in that ran in Quality Digest earlier this week, and that was titled Quality 4.0, Fresh Thinking for Quality in the Digital Era. And in that piece, you mentioned this idea that a lot of these initiatives are being led from outside the quality function. So is that a good thing? I mean, why is that? And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Right. It's a little bit of both, right? So if you look at it, let's actually look at it from the bad perspective first, right? We just talked about how quality leaders need to really get educated and get involved. And without the involvement of quality leaders, kind of going back to that statistic I mentioned a second ago, 23% of these initiatives around quality improvement. And that's actually close to the top in terms of all initiatives. The topmost one is only 28%. So it's a high profile use case is driving quality improvement. But without quality leaders being engaged, the success of those projects will be diminished, because this isn't it's not like you're building this from ground zero. You really are building this on top of your traditional quality framework. For instance, if you're trying to drive new insights in supplier quality management, but you have many different fragmented systems, Excel spreadsheets, data spread all over the place, that's called low veracity data. So it's low quality data that you can't really trust. So you're going to drive lots of insights from that data, but those insights are actually going to lead you down the wrong path most likely. So you really need to have an overall strategy to improve this as a whole, and quality needs to be involved in that. So that's a bad part. Another thing that's maybe not ideal about it is the fact that from a quality perspective, there's in order to quality ends up losing some credibility in these cases. If you're not engaged in this, in an area that a lot of the organization is seen as being really crucial to the quality improvement of the organization, quality should be leading those in order to establish that credibility and drive visibility for quality and drive the quality culture. However, that's on the bad side. On the good side, what ends up happening is with this, this is an area where, again, instead of quality trying to pull other functions into quality improvement and into quality management, it's an ideal opportunity to drive a culture of quality. So you can really, because a lot of these organizations are really interested in this and are seeing this as a high value area, it's a great opportunity to really align quality with the strategic objectives of the company and with these other functions. As an example, if you read the article on Quality Digest, it's quality is only engaged in 6%. Quality is only leading about 6% of these initiatives, whereas marketing is actually leading slightly more than that. Product development is as well. So there's a lot of different functions that see this as a very high value opportunity to drive quality improvement.
And in the article, you also mentioned a few case studies that I thought were really interesting. There's a couple of what that you mentioned about improving manufacturing execution, better managing suppliers, and even transitioning to like a service-based business model. So maybe what's the common theme you can run through for us in all those case studies as it pertains to Quality 4.0?
Yeah, in working with a lot of those leaders, I mean, again, one of the key things we just talked about here a few times is that idea of getting educated. So they learned what the capabilities were. They got involved. They understood how this was going to align with their strategic objectives of the company and really build a strategy around that. So it's those three elements there. But a few other really important pieces. One of them is to really keep it simple. So you understand what use cases are out there so you can understand what you can do to enable Quality 4.0, and then really target in on those use cases, because once you get engaged, you'll find out that data scientists are a rare resource. They're so you're going to develop those competencies, and you want to really keep those competencies focused on what you're trying to address. Really drive value out of that specific initiative before you expand onward. And then the other piece on this is to keep agile. So you're going to find out, the whole point of this is you will find new insights. Maybe those insights are things that you were expecting to find when you're looking for it, right? And through some of the research that we're publishing, both in this ebook and upcoming research documents and in our executive roundtable we'll have later on this year, we'll have a lot of these other use cases uncovered to give you an understanding of what the capabilities are and how people are addressing this today. However, you still need to remain agile to understand, as you find out information, you can really adapt to that information and get to a spot where you're delivering, delivering that competitive advantage.
Well, Dan Jacob of LNS Research, thanks again for joining us today on the show. Again, the ebook is called, let me make sure I get this right, Quality 4.0 Impact and Strategy Handbook, right? And maybe tell the folks out there real quick how they can get it.
Yeah, so if you go to, if you go to LNS's website, there's the blog.lnsresearch.com/quality40 ebook. That's the link, or you can just search for LNS and then Quality 4.0, 4.0, and that'll lead you very quickly to the ebook as well.
That's great. That's great. Well, Dan Jacob, thanks again for joining us today on the show. Good luck with that ebook. We'll talk to you soon.